it's like, yeah, it's great that it has it, but do you need it? I don't know. I don't know if you do. It doesn't, you could probably do without it. Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm going to be talking about the XF23mm 1.4R LMWR. I have had a lot of trouble making this video. And the reason I've had so much trouble is because I just don't know how to talk about it. There's these words that keep combining in my head, like fantastically dull or wonderfully boring. And the reason for that is because it's kind of exactly what you're expecting. As an aside, I just want to say that when I review lenses, I'm reviewing them from a photographer's standpoint for personal use. So I'm not reviewing these for events or things like that. And I thought it was important that I bring that up for this particular review because I think these newer Fujifilm lenses, the LMWR lenses, 18, 23, and 33, I think they are more geared toward professionals. Okay, let's just get into it. You already know what this lens is, I'm sure. You know, this lens has been around. There's plenty of technical specs on this lens. I'm sure you've done your research and you're probably here for a specific reason, which is it worth it for you? The reality is it's a mixed bag, kind of like I alluded to at the beginning. This particular lens, the image and the image quality that I get from it sort of resides between the 35mm 1.4 and the 18mm 1.4 R LMWR. It doesn't quite have the character and interesting light dynamics as the 35mm 1.4 R, but it also doesn't have the razor sharp edges that the 18mm produces. In between here, you find this sort of Goldilocks zone where at no point does it ever feel like it's flawed, but you do still get some interesting light and light character, but it's also not as sharp as the 18, which I actually don't like. I don't like my images to be overly sharp. Let's just get the thing I dislike about it the most, and it's probably the thing that's making you hesitant as well, and that's the size. Anyone coming from full frame or anyone coming from medium format, they're gonna laugh that I think that this is too big. I'm gonna hold up the 18 now because it's a similar size and I don't feel like taking this off. But this is not a big lens. Like in the world of lenses, there are much bigger lenses than this. And I know that. But the problem is, I don't care. I bought Fujifilm for a reason. And what I've seen in recent Fujifilm design language, from the XH2S and the XH2 to these lenses, is a company that's maybe designing their cameras to go after a bigger market. I would say that the styling and design of this particular lens is very clinical, very much like a Sony lens. It's just unfortunate. This is one of those things that's really hard to explain. I gotta bring up the size. The other major drawback to this lens is the price. At $900 US, this is an expensive lens. You can definitely find it in the used market now. You can find it on sale, but it is still a very pricey lens. And one of the questions somebody asked when I asked the question on a post on YouTube was, is it worth the price increase over the F2s or over the older 23mm 1.4R, which is in the same line as the 35mm and the 56mm 1.2R. Oh, and the Viltrox. Viltrox has a 1.4R, and I can speak to Viltrox because I have the 13mm 1.4R here on my camera right now that I've had for a very long time. And I did end up getting rid of the 75mm for reasons. It was a fine lens. So my guess is the 23mm 1.4 Viltrox lens is probably a pretty good alternative to this. I can't say that it is worth it. That's the problem. It's really hard to make a recommendation for this lens, but it's also really hard for me to speak ill of it because of the images I get from it. Now, before I get into the images, I do want to talk about the performance. One of the reasons I targeted this specific lens was I did want the 1.4 and I did want weather sealing. And as far as I know, this is the only one that offers that. The F2 is also weather sealed. So that's probably a good option if you want weather sealing. So in the mountains, there's a lot of dust being kicked up. I drive on a lot of dirt roads, and I usually have my windows open. So I like it when my equipment is all weather sealed, just mostly for dust. But a few weeks ago, I took my X-T5. Yes, I do have the X-T5 back. I guess let me know in the comments if you want me to talk about why I did that. With the 23mm downtown, and it was raining pretty hard, and I did a one camera, one lens video. And I love how that, first of all, how that video came out, but I really love how the images came out. I wasn't worried about it, and it did a pretty good job. I'm looking at my script here, and in my script, I'm trying to say that autofocus has not been an issue, but that's actually not true at this very moment. Fujifilm's latest update to their firmware has caused me some autofocus grief. And that's really unfortunate, and I hope they can fix it soon, but definitely not a problem with the lens. I have not had autofocus issues with this lens. Manual focus is focus by wire, and focus by wire is cheating you, the photographer. That's my feeling. Not being able to see the distance and aperture setting and make a calculation just looking at your lens rather than looking in the screen of your camera. It doesn't feel right to me. Now that I know what I know, I feel like everybody should have the notches on the lens. Everybody should be able to see at a glance, especially if you do street photography, you should be able to see that you are focusing at 1 meter to 2 meter at f8. Like, that just is something you should know. And having to do the weird focus by wire trick in the camera, not fun. However, saying all that, I do find the focus ring to be very smooth, very easy to roll. It is much better than what I get in the 1.4R, the 35mm 1.4R. This ring is a little difficult to turn. It's not sticky, it's not stuck. I don't know how to describe it. It just feels like I'm pulling it in friction. And it's not a very nice experience. Where the 18 and the 23 have fixed that problem, this feels very good. So you can manually focus. It's just manual focus on these lenses is clearly not the goal. They want you to use autofocus. So that's my take on manual. Okay, the extra stop of light. It's probably not worth it. We all want it. We want f1.2. We want f1.4. We want 0.95. The separation is insane. The bokeh. For most applications, for what you need, it's not necessary. I like having it. I don't know. I do use it at night. I also, when I need to take a portrait or something where I want separation, it's nice to have that. But I don't keep my lens in 1.4 like I did at the beginning. Like when you first see that separation, that's the big difference between your phone and these, lenses. It's not necessary. So you don't have to be hunting for 1.4 is what I'm trying to tell you. I have lenses that are 2.8 and my, Sigma 2.8, 18 to 50 zoom. I get great separation. I get great low light performance. Like 2.8 is good. 2 is probably, I would say 2 is the sweet spot for most people. So the half expensive, kind of funny looking f2 lenses that Fuji sells, hey, they may be kind of funny looking, but my guess is produce great images and weather sealed. F2 is fine, like not fine. It's great. F2 is great. We're spoiled rotten with these lenses. So it's hard to say that you would need that extra stop of light. Again, this is why this stupid video has been so hard for me to make. It's like, yeah, it's great that it has it, but do you need it? I don't know. I don't know if you do. It doesn't, you could probably do without it. So another reason that I bought this was I was thinking, well, with the linear motor, I can do video. I'm doing a YouTube channel. I'm trying to learn to do video outside of this room and, sort of spread my wings a little bit. Unfortunately, when I did that one camera, one lens video a few weeks ago, I did notice some pretty heavy focus breathing. And after I saw that video, I started testing the lens a little more, and it does have some focus breathing problems. This lens as a video lens is probably not the best option. And that's kind of a bummer, but just giving the review as I see it. All right, so this brings us to the images. And this is probably why you're here, the image quality. And the best word I can use to describe the image quality that I get from this lens is reliable. Which is the least fun way to describe a lens, in my opinion. You know, like with the 35mm 1.4, I can just go on and on about this, the character and the flaws that are not flaws, they're more interesting. Or the 56mm 1.2, where if I have reflections or anything going on, I can really make some fun color in here. These are flaws, but they're fun. And then of course the 18mm, if you are a person who loves crisp, solid edges, you're gonna love this. I can't speak like that about this lens. This lens is old reliable. The images are perfect. They're in between flawed and edge to edge perfection. They're the exact kind of image I would seek always. This is the lens that I just take with me when I go out. Like when I need to be inspired, I'm having a rough day, I'm not feeling it, I don't know what it is I'm after. This is very much like the X100V in that regard. When I was only using the X100V, that was my only camera. So when I wanted to go take photos, that's the camera I took. And I would always find photos because that 35mm focal length is my focal distance. So this has replicated that. And prior to the X106 being announced, this felt like my more advanced X100V setup. I can't stress how I feel like that's the ultimate compliment. Like, you know, it's not sexy, it's not fun, there's nothing about it that I can go, wow, you have to get the lens because of this. I can't. There's nothing that I can say other than this lens is reliable. That is really the ultimate compliment of a lens. And I get some of the best images from this. And I never worry about it. I always expect to open it up in Lightroom and get the best image. So that's kind of where I landed with this. It's my focal length, and it has all the pieces that I need. And so it's one of those things where, yeah, it may not be my favorite size, but I get over it because of what I get from it. This lens is always attached to my body. In fact, and I can say this with authority, if everything falls apart and I'm forced to sell all of this stuff and, you know, just abandon YouTube, and I can't have my XH2 anymore, I can't have my Pocket 3 anymore, I can't have anything, but I want to keep a camera and a lens to keep my love of photography going forward, I would keep this kit right here. This is my setup. This is what I would keep over all the other things. So I don't know how else to say it than it's hard for me to recommend, but I love this lens, and that's my review of it. Anyway, this has been a tough one to make. I really hope it came out, and I hope that you enjoyed watching it. If you did enjoy watching it, please remember to like and subscribe. It does help me stay motivated to keep making these. I am trying to make one video a week. I'm going to release on Tuesdays, and we'll see how that works out. I have a little plan in my head for that, so we will see. Anyway, I thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.